This video is brought to you by
Cool Grain Clothing. We done gone worldwide and we coming straight out of Baltimore. Come on down, shop with us at 215 West Saratoga Street. And if you can't come and shop with us in person, go online right now at coolgrainclothing.com and make your purchase. Oh yeah, and by the way, if you ain't cool and getting the green, you're in the way, and that's just basic.
What's going on, YouTube, fam? It's your boy Tony 2 times, and we back with another episode of the Baltimore Way, man. Before I start, be sure to tap that like button. Definitely watch this video to the end to hear the full story and all the details in the case. For the day one, fam, y'all already know it's all love. Thanks for tuning back into another episode. If you're new to the channel and you feeling the content, feel free to subscribe. Definitely hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we drop a new video. Oh yeah, feel free to share the channel with your peoples. Everybody is welcome. Before I get into this story, I want to give a special shout out to Miss Angela Corbett for always supporting the channel. We definitely appreciate your love and support. Also, I'm a little under the weather, so if y'all hear my voice a little shaky, y'all bear with me. But let's get right into the story. In certain environments, it's easy to get caught up in a situation. If you come from a city that's hot with crime on the rise, police always patrolling, you could be on your way to work and get jammed up, all because you fit a description. In most inner cities, it's an unwritten rule. Police come asking questions about anything, you don't say nothing and you don't know nothing, especially if you are still involved in street politics or know what's going on. But it always gets tricky, because in a lot of neighborhoods with a street element to them, you also have civilians or people that go to work every day and are just trying to live and survive. Of course, with different kind of people living around each other, paths will eventually cross, and street dudes intermingle with civilians. And sometimes, depending on the circumstances, they might even get questioned about something that happened around that way or get caught in a jam together. Now, as a street dude, you know the drill. I don't know what's going on, and if the situation goes past that, I want my lawyer. That's it. But the civilian might not feel the same way. They might say something like, that's not mine, or he was sitting right there, not following the same rules of the game as you. Now you feel like an individual told on you, who is not even playing in the same field. And to avoid going to prison and trying to keep somebody quiet, it can make a situation 10 times worse. And on this episode of the Baltimore Way, we'll take it all the way back to 2011 to discuss a plot to keep a witness from testifying that made things worse. Back in 2011, Ronald Givens was a 55-year-old man living in Woodlawn, Baltimore County. At the home, Ronald and his mother stayed there together. And to often make a few dollars, he would go to the city to hack or pick up people around his way. For out-of-towners, a hack man is a person that uses their personal vehicle without a company behind them to pick up people looking for rides for cash. Ronald had his issues and addictions, like most people do, but for the most part, the older gentleman was out the way, just trying to maintain. On March 21st, 2011, Ronald was out hacking. He picked up one of his regular customers, at the time, 21-year-old Darius Duncan. As the two men rode around the city, they were smoking, and Darius was catching cells, causing BPD to spot Ronald's car, a PT Cruiser. Feeling like the occupants of the vehicle were up to no good, they cut on the lights and got behind Ronald. He kept going for a few blocks, giving Darius, who was dirty at the time, who had product and a gun on him, enough time to bail out and run. Ronald finally stopped the car. BPD searched the car, found a little bit of grass, but let it go, and told Ronald, who stated he didn't know the passenger who just ran, he was out hacking, to wrap it up and go home. He agreed and hit the corner. But on the typical police move, they cut off the lights, made it look like they were going the other way, but ended up instead trailing Ronald, who ended up spinning a few blocks and picked Darius back up. Not knowing police was on their heels, they tried to continue on with the night, but BPD slid up on them. This time, Darius was cornered, and the man had nowhere to go. They peeped the man put something in the glove compartment before approaching the car. They had already searched the vehicle once and only found the grass. But this time, when they searched the car, they found a pack and also a gun. Feeling like it couldn't have been Ronald's, they focused their attention on Darius, who was already on parole. They initially charged Ronald because they told the man to go home, and Darius with the drugs and weapon charge. But Darius, already on parole, was sent straight to DOC to wait for his parole hearing, and the man had no chances of being released because of his violation. But Ronald would get out. Now Darius, backing up 20 years on top of a new charge, started to panic. Knowing a regular person and Hackman was his possible co-defendant, he needed a way to reach out to Ronald to either tell him to take the charge or tell police he didn't see nothing or know nothing. To make that happen, he would call the person who introduced him to Ronald in the first place, 29-year-old Keon Bees, telling him from a jail phone, like, yo, we need to holler at Unc to either tell him to take the charge and I will give him some bread or whatever kind of candy he likes to indulge in. Candy being code for smack or girl. Keon told him he would get on top of it and don't worry about it. Darius also told him he needed to get in contact with his nephew Dave ASAP. He also made calls to another young man, at the time 20-year-old Clifford Butler, explaining to him and Clifford's father, like, yo, I gotta get out this jam. We gotta talk to Ronald. By this time, BPD had already went to Ronald's house, serving him a subpoena to testify in court, stating he was just a hack man and the gun and drugs wasn't his. Which, thinking he would go to jail, Ronald agreed. Once Darius received the news from his lawyer, he once again from a jail phone started making calls to Keon and Clifford. He explained to his homies that Unc was about to get him jammed up and sent back to the joint. Keon told him, don't worry. He also stated him and Clifford would soon meet up and approach Ronald with the proposition. They pulled up on Ronald, telling him Darius was willing to take care of him with money or product if he would either not come to court or just take the charges. But Ronald declined the offer. When this got back to Darius, the whole vibe switched up. He got on more calls from the jail, this time telling Keon, like, yo, we gotta get rid of the hack man. Months and months would go by with Darius calling uptown to Clifford and Keon, and also telling them to talk to his nephew Dave, saying, yo, we gotta get Ronald out the way before I go to court. In October, the situation would get serious as Darius' trial was coming around the corner for his parole violation. He told his homies it was game time, no bluffing. Keon, saying the situation was real, tried to pull back, telling Clifford, like, yo, geeking, I'm not messing with Unc no more. But it was too late for all that. The plan was already in motion, and he had already helped pull most of the strings. On one call, he claimed he talked to Ronald, who told him he would be home watching football on October 4th. That night, Ronald received a knock on the door. He told his mother to stay in the room, as somebody told him they had hit his car. When he stepped outside to see the damage, multiple shots went off. Nobody saw or heard anything until the following morning. A neighbor saw Ronald laying by a tree and called BPD. They responded to the home, but unfortunately, the man was already pronounced gone on the scene. His mother told police he had an up-and-coming court date in reference to a case he had caught while he was hacking with Darius, causing police to go to the jail and ask for all of Darius's phone records. On the recorded line, they heard multiple calls of him talking about Ronald to Keon and Clifford. Only a few calls in, they had enough information to hit all three men with witness intimidation. And to their surprise, they wouldn't have to wait too long to know what happened to Ronald. Clifford and his attorney came down to the police station. Once they realized BPD had all of the jail calls, him and his attorney agreed to a proffer agreement to tell everything. They informed him if he lied about anything, the agreement wouldn't be valid. Clifford told detectives about Darius' charge and the letters that he was writing to him and Keon to get rid of Ronald. He claimed at first they was just talking to the man, but the situation got serious when Ronald decided not to take the charge. But Clifford lied about some of his involvement in the situation, leading to him and his attorney coming back down to the station for another sit down, in which he came clean about everything. With jail calls, Ronald's court subpoena, and Clifford's statements, police had probable cause to charge all three men with witness intimidation, first-degree murder, conspiracy, and other charges. There was a lot of speculation on who the actual shooter was. Darius' nephew Dave was also indicted as well. As the case started making its way to trial, Keon decided he would take the state's offer to testify. On the witness stand, he let it be known the whole play, the nicknames that was used on the jail calls, and the reason Ronald was hit in the first place. Stating he first introduced Darius to Ronald because he used to use the man as a ride to hit cells. But the deeper they got into the case, Keon decided to invoke his Fifth Amendment and refused to answer any more questions. By this point, he was off for 30 years for witness intimidation and conspiracy to commit a hit. But Darius and Clifford would get smashed. Darius was found guilty on all charges. He received 140 years in prison, and Clifford 115 years. As the court played on the fact he lied in his proffer agreement, meaning since he violated that, they didn't have to uphold the agreement no more. Both men appealed, but both of their sentences was upheld. Rest in peace to Ronald. I send my prayers and condolences to his family. It's crazy how giving somebody a ride can lead to all this. As far as Darius, nobody wants to be in a jam or in prison, but bro turned the 20-piece, which he probably would have already been home by now, to pretty much a life sentence. And his homies got caught up in the mix and the process. But I won't speak too much more on this one because I want to know what y'all think about the situation. Definitely leave it in the comments. Yeah, man, crazy story. Rest in peace to Ronald. I definitely send my prayers to his family. But yeah, y'all let me know what y'all think about the situation. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. This is another episode of the Baltimore Way. This your boy Tony 2 times. Love, fam. I'm out.